Welcome to Catnips. I'm your host, Kat, and this show explores food and culture while highlighting local LA restaurants. I come from a multicultural background. My father is Jewish and my mother's Chinese. Food was at the center of our family and our experiences. Some of my favorite memories are trying new foods with friends and family. I really hope to encourage others to try different cuisines while helping out local restaurant owners. You can learn a lot about another culture through their food, and there's a lot to explore. Today, my guest is Gloria Tsai. She is a multi-talented Taiwanese Texan actress, voiceover artist, and performer. Gloria and I know each other because we are both cast in the Sierra Madre Playhouse production of Joy Luck Club, and we would go to SinBala a lot on our breaks or in between shows. So we definitely fell in love with this restaurant, which is exciting because a lot of the other episodes of Catnips, I've gone to places I haven't been before.
Yeah.
And so I've just kind of been guessing, but this time I was like, oh no, I really want these dishes. I haven't had them in over a year and I miss them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, this is a show about food and culture and a little bit about my background. I am Chinese and Jewish. Gloria, can I ask what your ethnic background is?
Yes, I'm Taiwanese.
Amazing. And so yes, we wanted to make sure we went to a Taiwanese restaurant, and so that we could talk a little bit about this food and what it means to us. So hooray.
And SinBala is listed as like one of the best Taiwanese restaurants in like the greater LA area.
Yes, and we both went there and picked up, and I will say they had a lunch crowd. Like there was a very big line, and I wonder if that's just always, which for honestly great for them. The shopping center that they are in is very lively and has like bakeries and other great restaurants, and just like I can definitely see it as a place you can kind of go and explore and kind of be like, oh, what's over there? Let's talk about what we ordered. So I'll go first. I got their spicy beef noodle soup, which I really love. Their spicy beef noodle soup, I really like that their noodles come separately so they don't get like so like squishy and I don't know, just like overly soft, right? As we're
I think so. Yeah. They don't want it to be soggy and mushy, I guess.
Yeah. So I love that the noodles come separately and you can put them in right when you're about to eat. I ordered the minced meat with noodles, but I kind of got this instead. And I don't know, I don't feel like this is what it is, but I need to actually figure out what this is.
It looks like it's a combo. It has the minced meat and the noodles.
Right. But I think I was expecting, and a hard-boiled egg. And so I'm like, what? So I was more expecting dan dan noodles. But I know that they don't technically, that's not something that they have on their website. But I remember trying their noodles with minced meat during one of our shows, and it tasted just like dan dan noodles to me.
Maybe that's what they call it.
Maybe. So Glow, what did you get?
So I got the same thing. Their spicy beef noodle soup, but this part is vegetables. I also ordered, I think it's called, I forget what it's called on their menu, but it's like some kind of yo Tsai with minced meat. So I so I just took some of those veggies and put it into my bowl here, along with my beef noodle soup. But their spicy beef noodle soup is probably my favorite out of the restaurants that I've tried in this area, because there's so many Chinese, Taiwanese restaurants in this area, and several of them have beef noodle soup on their menu, and some are better than others. And their spicy version is like a really good one, but I think you can get it obviously with non-spicy, but
that's a great thing to say as well, because I know some people are a little scared when they see spicy on the menu. I do believe you can get it non-spicy, but I'm very sensitive to spice, and I will say I think their spicy beef noodle is not that bad. Like I get like a little kick, but I don't think it's like, oh my gosh, I need some water.
Right.
It is so good. It's very comforting. It's something that that maybe might be strange for a spicy beef noodle soup to be comforting, but it just feels like a big warm hug, which honestly is what most soup dishes feel like to me. But there's something about the spices and the noodles and knowing that the beef was, because the beef is so tender, and so it must have been marinated for like hours.
Yeah. I don't know how they treat their beef, but the beef in their beef noodle soup it's soft, it's tender, flavorful. And I've tried other places, and their beef is either A, not as soft, or B, doesn't have the flavor. It just tastes like beef that's been added. You know what I mean?
For sure. This beef feels like it's been in this broth for hours, which is what you want.
Yeah.
It's like a
And
beautiful stew.
it's not dried out.
So, Glo, what role did food have in your family?
My parents were pretty healthy. Growing up, we did not go out to eat very often. But it's interesting because this beef noodle soup is technically Taiwanese comfort food.
Oh.
Yeah. I think of it as Taiwanese comfort food. Also, what I'm not showing you that I'm eating, because I saved it for later, is what is called a meatball, but that's what it's directly translated as, because it's in Mandarin, it's called ro wan, and ro is meat, and then wan is like what you would consider like a roundish bowl. So yeah, it translates technically to like meatball. And it's this like gelatinous thing, and it's like stuffed with some minced meat, some mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and that kind of thing. And it comes with a very specific sauce too. There's like this red sauce that only goes with the meatball. SinBala has it listed as meatball.
Amazing.
But it's not, I mean, it's like this big.
Wow. Does it come with anything? Or is it
just the
the
sauce?
Meat? Okay. So was food important in your family? Was it something to kind of learn and be revered almost? And also, was it a time of family togetherness, or was it more like rushing through food?
Well, yes, back to your original question. It was a time to sit down and be with family. And that kind of extended into the holidays as well. Any of the holidays is a time to like gather with the family, sit down and feast and eat. But my parents were very healthy people, and we didn't go out to eat often, like I said. Instead, we had a very specific regimen to our evening meals, specifically evening meals. We always had soup. My parents would make some kind of soupy broth, bone broth
for every meal.
And, it was usually always available at dinner. Like a bone broth, and it had, I don't know, they would put random things in it, some squash, right? Some of the winter melon, bits of that, bits of maybe like white fungus or like wood ear, maybe some bamboo, some, I think it's not called jujubes, but like some, dates and other things that have been like dried, that are put in as herbs. And we would have that. And we would also have salad, like a very Western thing, like just a regular garden salad kind of mix of like lettuce and your base, like tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots. And so they always wanted to start dinner with this soup and salad combo.
Oh, very Western.
Yeah, it was weird because I don't think other people, or at least other Taiwanese families, I don't know if they ate that way.
So you would start with your soup and salad before any kind of main dish came out.
Yeah, well, the main dishes were also out as well, family style. But I think my parents definitely wanted us to start our dinner with the soup and the salad.
So there would be a soup and salad, and the main dish would always be available. But you were kind of taught to do the soup and salad first, like before reaching for the main dish? Was it just like to make sure like you get the nutrients from the bone broth and the like talking about
I
kind of a
guess.
westernized thought, right? Because I take care of
Yeah.
kids and I babysit a lot. Is sometimes they're like, oh, make sure that you only give the kids their vegetables first. Like that's
Yeah.
something that I was told a lot as a babysitter is like, oh, give
Mm.
them the vegetables first and then the spaghetti. Because if you do the
Huh.
spaghetti first, they won't have room for the vegetables.
That makes sense. And I don't know if that is specifically what my parents were, the regimen that they were going
Mhm.
for, but that's just what they did. And my
And did you
sisters
ever
and I never questioned, we didn't question it. We just thought it was like, okay, this is what they want to do.
that was my next question is like if you and your siblings were like, this is so not fair, like my other friends don't have to do this or whatever.
Yeah, no. But as a kid, also, again, we ate very healthy. We didn't have any unhealthy snacks. So, going to school, I would see other kids with, like chips, or like you would have Oreos, right, as a snack, all these like really very American snacks, Doritos and all that stuff. My parents never bought any of that stuff. So
And did you
I,
ever feel jealous of the other kids, or were you
a
just kind of
little
like,
bit, a little bit. Like I didn't know about PB&J sandwiches. My sister discovered grilled cheese sandwiches somewhere in middle school, and
oh,
this was my
scandalous?
middle sister, and she taught me. She was like, "Oh, there's this thing called grilled cheese sandwiches." And she taught me how to make it. And it was something we didn't ever really make either because, again, my parents didn't really buy slices of white bread and they
Right.
didn't buy sliced cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So the cheese that we did have went into our sandwiches. By middle school and high school, we had very healthy lunches. They consisted of sandwiches that were of like deli cuts of meat and cheese with like lettuce, alfalfa sprouts, tomatoes, and it was always on like a wheat bread or a whole grain bread. That's the kind of healthy like sandwich my mom would make for us for lunch.
I'm gonna try this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow, I
Mhm.
love this noodle dish. It's very light. Even though it has like a million things in it, because it has like minced meat and like a hard boiled egg and some shrimp. But it's very light. It's not greasy at all.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because there's
Um,
no soup in that one, right? It's just
there
a.
isn't. It's just a noodle. It's almost like lo mein, to be really honest.
Mhm.
But the noodles are thinner, and I don't know, the sauce on it from the meat, it's very light.
Mm. Mhm. That's good.
I know, I'm just very much into my food, which truly, this is why I'm doing this. I love food. It makes me really happy when I eat something exciting.
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
body changes. Um, my outlook on the day changes.
Oh,
Like
yes.
truly today I was like, it's gonna be a good day. I'm gonna have SinBala.
Yes. Right.
Um,
That's true. Food should cheer people up.
and I know that we're so busy that sometimes food, at least for my friends, sometimes it's like a chore. It's like, oh yeah, just have to eat something. But I'm trying to not be that
Mhm.
much because it's a choice
True.
what you put in your body. And
Yep.
two, like I want it to be something I'm excited for.
That makes sense. Huh.
Do you have a favorite Taiwanese dish?
You mean besides beef noodle soup?
Oh, it could be this. It could be beef
Mm.
noodle soup. I just didn't know if it
There's,
was.
I think, I think it might be my favorite Taiwanese dish slash meal. Um, I mean the only other thing that I think my sisters and I tend to get as like, oh, it's treating ourselves to Taiwanese food is xiaolongbao, but xiaolongbao is technically not Taiwanese.
I would
You
love for
know,
you to speak more about that.
yeah, yeah. Xiaolongbao is actually originally from like, is it from Shanghai originally?
I think
See, I don't even
that's what
really
I
know.
thought.
It's
And
just a popular another thing that got brought over, like there's plenty of Chinese dishes that are very prevalent and popular in Taiwan.
if someone is more used to eating Chinese food, and then I say, hey, try this Taiwanese place, something that I have gotten is, well, what's the difference? Or does it taste like Chinese food? And that's always a little bit difficult for me to answer.
Yeah.
The feeling that I'm like, well, some dishes taste very much like Chinese, but then other dishes have very different spices than, and especially if they only have experience with more Americanized Chinese food like Panda Express, I don't think they would then order what we are having, and I think they'd be surprised by the
Right.
taste. So
Yes,
yeah, is there a
exactly.
way that you would answer that question if someone was like, "Oh,
Um,
am I gonna go to SinBala and it's gonna be like Chinese food? Like, what's the difference between Chinese food and Taiwanese food?"
a lot of it is similar, right? A lot of Chinese food is also, the mainstay of Taiwanese cuisine. But what Taiwan has done that is, I think, a bit more specific is what's considered like not just street food, but like little things to go. One of the, SinBala, one of the, main dishes that you'll find at other Taiwanese restaurants is what they have is like, they're almost like bento boxes. They're lunch plates. It's rice with a meat protein, maybe a hard-boiled egg, and some veggies. And these are very specific veggies too. It's usually like some pickled naba cabbage, you know what I mean? Some of those pickled greens, pickled mustard greens.
Maybe some
Um,
carrots.
yeah. So those are, and then of course, like the meat is usually like the minced pork meat, or like the sausage, which they're known for, the little Taiwanese sausages cut up. And there's other Asian countries who have a very similar sausage as well. So like,
Hmm.
but this like, it's very normal to have a Taiwanese meal plate, and that's what it includes is your rice, these little pickled veggies, a hard-boiled egg, a stewed hard-boiled egg, not just a plain hard-boiled egg, but it's usually
Yes,
stewed.
I'm gonna show
You have
the
one, yeah.
people. Yes. So that's why this is brown, is because
Yeah.
it's been stewed,
Mm-hmm.
and all the yumminess and the juices and like everything
Yeah.
that comes with this
Earth.
dish. So the egg won't just taste like a regular, like a regular hard-boiled egg that we get for
Yeah.
Easter.
Right. Yeah. It does not taste like that. Yeah.
So that's something to know, I think, for people going
Mhm.
in. Also,
I think
yeah.
that's very specific to Taiwanese dishes.
Mhm.
Taiwanese cuisine specifically has like these
Pickled
lunch plates.
hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah. With the
Yeah.
with the hard-boiled egg for
Yeah.
sure.
And so if somebody was trying this cuisine for the very first time, what would
Mhm.
you suggest that they order? Especially if they were a little nervous or worried that they weren't going to like a certain dish.
Go for a sausage plate,
Mhm. I would agree.
lunch. Um, Very traditional with the egg, with the rice, your veggies, your minced pork, or your sausage. That's super traditional. It's very safe. It's almost like the pad thai.
Sure.
Thai cuisine is like this sausage plate is to Taiwanese lunch plates. Um,
And then I would say get the spicy beef noodle soup
yeah,
and some soup
yes,
dumplings to share with your family.
yeah. Dumplings in general is also like, I don't know, again, if it's because of like this individualized small thing to go kind of nature of dumplings, that the Taiwanese like love to have a variety of dumplings.
Do you have a
Although
favorite dumpling?
no, not really. I eat them all. But again, what Taiwan is known for though is the street foods
Hmm.
and the street snacks that then you can find at these Taiwanese restaurants. And it's almost like a lot of the things are appetizer items, or, just like tapas style, the steamed buns, the
I love
white
those.
ones with your pork inside. So in Taiwan, you can get those on the street as breakfast. The last time I was there, I'm overdue for a trip, but the last time I was in Taiwan, my sister and her husband had taken their kids there and stayed for a whole month so that they could immerse the kids and get the kids in school for a little bit. And for breakfast, he would go down the street for like a block or two from where they were staying, and there was a street vendor who would sell the steamed pork buns. as
Mm.
breakfast. And you get that, and you get like warm soybean milk.
Do you feel like there is an importance of cultural pride in your food, in Taiwanese food in particular?
I think so. Again, like Taiwan's known for their snacks and their street snacks. Look, number one example, boba. Like
Mm.
now, boba is worldwide. It was invented in Taiwan.
Oh.
I remember it was one of my first trips back to Taiwan. I don't know if it was when I was 8 or 12. So
Mm.
this is like 80s, you know. We went back and I remember going to a cafe with my mom and her friends, and they were like, "Oh, this is the latest thing. Zinzu Naita. Have this Zinzu Naita," which they served in a cafe mug, warm milk tea with the pearls at the bottom, you know, so in a straw, you know, in a mug, blah blah blah, at this cafe.
But wait,
And it was
warm in a mug with a straw? Oh,
so like
interesting.
a normal like mug like this, and you had the warm milk tea, and then they had the pearls at the bottom, so they had the big straw, and they also, you know, they had a spoon as well in case you wanted to use a spoon.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like this, ooh, like a little dessert in your beverage.
Yeah.
And I think it grew from there into what it is now, how it's just this quick
It's
mobile.
huge. It's
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yeah, you can have your different flavors, your teas, your coffees, your fruits, fruit juices, slushies, right? They've just transformed it into something that's very versatile and universally accepted. So, and then, right, they included now not just boba, but then also you've got your aloe jelly, your
Mm-hmm.
grass jelly, your
Or
other,
lychee. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
that started in Taiwan.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever go through a period when you were like, I want burgers and fries and milkshake and mac and cheese?
I think I got it often enough through school and friends that I didn't really crave it so much. Um, because, for instance, going to McDonald's was not a thing with my family. Like going to any American fast food was not a thing. But if I happened to be with friends, you know, and it was, I remember in third grade, this one classmate for her birthday, we all went to McDonald's for her birthday, you know, and
Exciting.
it was like this big 2-story McDonald's that had a huge playscape, you know, we all
Mm-hmm.
got to order Happy Meals. So that was like a thing. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. But it wasn't something where I was like, oh, I have to have this all the time, you know. So and luckily my parents, you know, knew that fast food was not good for you or whatever. So
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, it was not anything that we ever bought or ate. Same thing with pizza. Like people who would order pizza to be delivered to the home, that's like a very normal American thing, right? To have
Yeah.
your pizza delivered and then you watch a game or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't have that happen unless I was at a friend's house.
So did you mostly eat at the dining room table, or did you ever eat in front of a television?
Dinner time was us sitting down as a family to eat. The TV
Mm-hmm.
was not on. You know, this is before the days of cell phones.
Right.
You know, so of course we sat down at the family dinner table and ate
Mm-hmm.
together. And then afterwards, my dad would watch TV, or then we
Right.
could go do whatever we needed to do. But somewhere in between, like studying, doing homework, when dinner was ready, we go down, we eat at the family table, and then when dinner is done, you know, we're helping clean
Clean
up.
up. Yep.
You know, my sisters and I rotated who did dishes, and then it was back to studying or doing homework.
You know, both my parents worked. A lot of the times I went to after school. So they would
Mm.
I would do most of my homework in after school. But they would
Mm.
pick me up around 6. You know, my mom would like start cooking immediately. And then we would just like have dinner at 6:30 or 7. It would be a very much time together time, no
Mm-hmm.
other distractions, talking about
Mm-hmm.
your day, talking about what you liked, what you didn't like. You know, and it wasn't just all about me. I was only child. So it wasn't just all about like, let's focus on the kids' day. Like, you know, there would be like 20-minute spurts of like my parents really talking about their days and like, hey, what happened to
That's
you?
nice.
You know, and so it really helped me, I think, as a kid also be like, maybe I don't understand everything they're talking about, but
Right.
if they have interest in my life, I also want to have interest in theirs and
Yeah.
understand. I don't know, it just kind of helps because I think nowadays sometimes I think when parents ask kids how their days are, it's very much on
Mhm.
them. It's very much on like, we just need to know how school's going and like, what's the progress? And there
Right.
isn't really that give and take of like, tell me about your day so I can
We're
tell you
having a
about mine.
conversation. Yeah.
And then also something I would love to talk about is I think the idea of a kids menu is very
Oh,
westernized
it is.
because my parents couldn't imagine making me a separate meal than what they were having. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was just never, and it wasn't like strict or mean in any way, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, this is what we're eating. This is
Yeah.
what the family is eating. You know, because I really think it's happening a lot nowadays where people are like, well, my kid's having chicken nuggets every night. And it's like, I get that. And I understand that some kids are picky, but
Mhm.
sometimes like you just put something in front of them and be like, that's what you're having. And even if they're saying no, there's comes a point where like, I don't know, as a kid, I just was hungry. And so it's like, I've got to try what's in front of me, even if it looks weird or like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. I'm hungry and this is what's in front of me.
I think in Chinese cuisine fashion, it was family style. So on our dining table, there was always like 3, 4, 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a, a plate of veggies, a plate of like some kind of meat, a veggie combo, fish. Now growing up, my mom was not a vegetarian. She is now. My mom did
Oh,
not become a vegetarian until um, I went off to college, but she started to wean herself off. Like I remember at some point in high school, she stopped eating red meat, and then meats, and then she was basically a pescatarian. Somewhere by the time I got off into college, and then therefore after college, she became a full vegetarian.
mm,
But growing up, she was not. And so we had all the things. And one of the things that she used to cook was my dad used to fish. And so anything he caught, she would clean and make, or just go to the Asian grocery store. And for those who have been to the Asian supermarket, you know, you can get your fish, you know, cleaned in multiple ways, right?
yeah.
You can get it with the head on, without the head, with the tail, without the tail, you know, totally descaled, filleted fully, or just, you know, the whole fish. And a lot of times my parents just got the whole fish. My mom would take care of cleaning it herself. And we always had some kind of steamed fish or grilled or something like that, pan fried. But yeah, pan fried things, meats, lamb, pork chops that were
Mm-hmm.
pan fried. Um, yeah. And again, it wasn't until later that like the meat slowly started to go away. But it's like there's a variety of things to choose from. And as a kid, again, there's no kids menu. It's like these are all the things that are available to us to eat. You eat it or not. And I do remember as a kid there was I did not like bitter melon,
Mm.
and that's a Chinese.
Understandable.
Yeah, they you make you cut up bitter melon and it's like sautéed with like some minced meat, and I was like, ew. I did not want to eat that. And I still don't to this day. You know, it's not something I order, it's not something I'm gonna get. But yeah,
So when you didn't like it, what happened?
I just didn't eat it. I just chose not to put it into my bowl, you know. There may have been a few occasions where like my mom and dad like put something into my bowl that they were like forcing me to eat. And you know, as a good kid, you go, okay, I'm gonna force myself to eat it, but
Yeah, a friend of mine that I hope to have on this show, but said
mhm.
like her mom would be like, you need to eat it, but you can tell me how much you hate it while you're eating it.
Ooh.
So she would be like, oh, I hate this so much. I don't like it at all. Don't serve this to me again. But she would like, but she would enjoy like being able to like say how much she hated it. And then it would make her and like, but she would still eat it. So like that was a tactic that our mom had
Amazing.
to be like, All right, like you still need to eat it, but you can tell me how much you hate it as you're eating.
Wow. That's kind of, that's interesting.
So hooray. Yes, I really have loved having you on this show. Thank you so much for doing this and taking the time to talk about your Taiwanese culture and also just explaining kind of what you like about the food, what someone should try about it. I really believe during this time we need to support local restaurants, and I think what that really means is trying a new restaurant, trying a new cuisine. I will say something about a lot of the restaurants that I've reviewed on the show is like, I'm never going to a 5-star Michelin restaurant where one entree is $80. Like that just won't be what this is about. I'm sure those restaurants are beautiful and wonderful and I'll go to them one day in my life. But like I don't think people realize how much they can try and be kind of transported to another place or another culture for like under $10, like truly, or even taking advantage of lunch specials and stuff like that. Like, I know everyone's worried, or I know everyone is budget conscious and like worried about money, but I truly believe that food is something that you should invest in and invest in yourself. And you're also helping a local restaurant or a local business.
Yeah. And what's great though is like here in the greater LA area, there is access to so much of this diverse food, diverse cuisines from around the world, like that. I just think, obviously your audience can be anywhere, but if you are fortunate enough to be in a city that's international, like LA is, or like Houston is where I grew up, where you have access to various cuisines, go and try it and see if you like it or not,
It could be you can just get a sausage, you can get a lunch plate, you can get just an appetizer and just try it out and be like, oh, do I like this spice? Is this interesting to me? I want to try the soup this time. I want to try the rice plate this time. Because that's the other thing, is that you might go in and try something and you might not have the exact dish for you. I would say to anyone interested, if you try a cuisine and you're not quite liking the first thing, I would go back or even talk to the owner or the person taking your order and be like, hey, I didn't really like this, but I do like, and give an example maybe of another Asian dish that you like and tell them, and they'll probably have a suggestion for you of something on the menu.
Yeah. Usually you ask them like, what is your favorite item? Or what is your most popular dish?
Yes.
Yeah, one of those two will get you kind of in the right direction.
Hooray. Oh, well, this was so amazing. Thank you so much, Glo, for being on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Is there anything that you would like to plug or tell people how to follow you, how to find you, what you're working on?
Yes, I'm working on voiceovers, but they can follow me on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even Snapchat and TikTok. They're all the same. You can find me at Glowtsai, GLOWTSAI. I'm Glowtsai across all those platforms. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, happy to be able to share a meal with you.
Of course. And yes, I'll be putting more information at the end of this about how you can patronize SinBala, how you can look at their website and their menu.
Try Taiwanese food. I mean, obviously the best place to get Taiwanese food is in Taiwan. If you ever go to Taiwan, you hit the night markets, you hit the street foods, all the street foods. That's what we get when we go.
Yes, for sure. Do not be afraid. Definitely try. I think you'll be very surprised at some amazing spices and food that you're able to indulge in. So hooray, thank you so much, Glo. This has been so great.
I know.
Yes, check out SinBala. Hooray, bye.